Welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm Joanna Kleinman, psychotherapist and CEO of the Mastering Your Mind Coaching and Consulting Company. And today we are talking about the truth about stress and fear and really what happens when you are creating the life that you want. So, there is something really powerful about the moment that you start to imagine what's next in your life, right? It's so exciting to dream about the future and to see the vision of where you want to be. But between where you are now and where you want to go, there's almost always this big, wide open space of the unknown. And it's in that unknown where most people get stuck. So the moment that you can't clearly see the how or where this is all going, your automatic mind takes over. And those automatic thoughts rush in. And that's where you start focusing on the fears and the what ifs and the doubts and the pressure to figure it all out and get to the result. So that is your automatic mind, or what I call your inner critic mind. And it does not know how to relax into uncertainty because your automatic mind was created, unbeknownst to you, a long time ago. And its one and only job is to keep you safe. And the unknown doesn't feel safe. So it fills this blank open space with stories and worst case scenarios that are really rooted in your past identity. So you start to hear thoughts that you've probably heard many times before in your life. Like, what if this doesn't work? Or what if I fail? Or what if I can't handle what comes next? Or what if I get rejected? Or I have to figure this out right now. And those thoughts don't stay neatly just right here in your head. They trigger a whole cascade in your body. So the moment that your brain registers uncertainty as a threat, your nervous system tightens and your cortisol spikes and your breathing might become shallow and your heart rate increases and your muscles tense. And then suddenly, even if nothing's happened yet, you are living your days in a stress response. And that creates a ripple effect. That's why you get irritable and cranky and exhausted, and you want to just snap at your partner or your children or it's the person that cut you off in traffic, right? So here is that loop that so many of us know too well, right? You look at the unknown, those automatic fears and doubts flood in. You feel the pressure to have it figured out. Your nervous system reacts, and then you start responding to that feeling as if that's the truth, and that becomes life. So the stress is not coming from the uncertainty itself. It's actually coming from the story that your mind is telling you and the physiological storm that follows that. Now, that could be with anything, right? That used to show up when I was raising my kids, right? It's shown up with conflicts in friendships or extended family members, right? But that's why transformation is not about adding something new. Transformation is really about shedding the old parts of you that you've outgrown, those old fears, those old attempts to control the unknown, the attempts to control what other people think of you and making sure you seem perfect or like you've got it all together or like you're successful or like you're good enough, right? So that fear-based identity believes it has to control whatever it feels it needs to control before it can trust the journey. So, what I want to tell you today is that the unknown is not scary, it's not unsafe, it's not the enemy. Your relationship to the unknown is what determines whether you experience joy and fulfillment and peace in your life or whether you keep looking at that unknown and determining that's a threat very unconsciously. So when you learn how to unhook yourself from all of the parts of your old identity, the automatic fears, the automatic attachments to making sure the outcome matches your ideal pictures, you've got to let that go. You've got to learn to regulate your nervous system now instead of reacting to your nervous system. So the unknown can become a space where something new can emerge. And honestly, it can feel like magic because when you already are embodying the nervous system of someone who knows life's got me, right? I'm taken care of. Does it mean everything's going to go my way? No. Does it mean everything's going to go perfect? No. Does it mean that there are people that are going to say no or people that are going to have judgment? Perhaps. But you don't have to view that as something that you have to prevent or fix or control. So when I look back at building what is my dream business, my automatic mind was loud. So when I was creating the Mastering Your Mind program, my head was filled with thoughts like, how am I ever going to get the word out about this? And when I was writing my book, I would have thoughts like, who's going to read this? And when I fantasized about creating a certification program that was accredited from the International Coaches Federation, those thoughts alone triggered a stress response. So even before anything happened, I was already living in an emotional and physiological state of fear and doubt and control. And that rippled, right? When I was raising my children, I often had that same physiological response because I wanted to control their experience of life. I wanted to control their happiness. I wanted to make sure that they always felt good. I wanted to make sure that they were going to turn into successful adults. Like that was in my control, right? My only job, really, looking back, was to love them, right? Love them through all of it. But I did not recognize that at the time because I was caught in my automatic mind and my automatic old identity. So it wasn't my career that created my stress. It wasn't my children that created my stress. It was my automatic mind's attachment to the outcome, the belief that the results were up to me. Are the actions up to us? Absolutely, right? The daily actions are up to us. The outcome is not. Now, that single shift changed everything for me. It's changed everything for the hundreds of people that have already gone through my program to create their own dream life. So we all have a choice when building our dreams. We can let our minds, our nervous systems be hijacked by fear and control, or we can anchor into the nervous system of our future self. And that is the one who already knows that life is the one in charge. You could say life, you could say God, you could say the universe, you could say source. I don't care what you call it. The results come from staying grounded in a calm nervous system, trusting the whole process, and leaning into feeling joy and abundance right now. Not because you've created some specific outcome, but because you can already see how whole and complete you are, how proud you can be of yourself, how you can fall in love with yourself, with your faults, with your flaws, with the things that you did in your past that make you want to cringe, which we all have. Those things, when you focus on the things from your past that make you cringe, when you focus on the fears and the control that you want to create in your future, that doesn't create a calm nervous system. So when I began embodying my future self in mind and body and belief, things started flowing in ways that I could have never predicted. I met people who wanted to become mind method certified at a wedding. I met someone at an Eagles tailgate. I met someone at a bar. That's not strategy, that's alignment. Now, I'm not saying all of the behaviors, the small micro behaviors that I've been doing for all this time certainly laid the foundation. But imagine just putting one foot in front of the other while you are grounded in abundance and trust and gratitude and joy. Imagine what that whole journey could be. So now, as I'm launching my certification program, there are so many unknowns, and my old self would have spiraled. But today, I'm calm and I trust. And that didn't happen overnight. Like I said, it came from years of using the mind method to unhook myself from my old automatic thoughts and nervous system patterns in small daily ways. So now I no longer grip the steering wheel of life. I let life lead. That's when everything began to flow. So to step into the next chapter of your life, you have to break free from your nervous system that's wired to your old identity. So when something unexpected happens, the old self is going to go into survival mode, that fight, flight, freeze. It's automatic. It's familiar. You can't stop that from happening because your brain loves familiar. Even if it makes you feel miserable, your brain loves familiar. So for me, the worrier and the fixer felt safer than the woman who trusts. So even when we have a clear vision, if our nervous system isn't aligned with the future self, we spiral back into those old loops. And our brain needs to fix the danger now. And that's when we get filled with doubt and worry and overthinking everything. So these patterns aren't who you are. They're just echoes of your younger survival based self. And just because the echoes come doesn't mean you need to merge with those echoes. So you've got to be able to see that old self clearly because your old self is predictable. It loops through the same thoughts, the same beliefs, the same emotions, the same behaviors. It feels safer to be rooted in those same thoughts, beliefs, emotions, and behaviors than it feels in the unknown. But that's not permanent. So to step into what's next, matching the version of yourself you're becoming starts with seeing clearly all of the different facets and nuances of your old self. Right? Maybe you're the perfectionist who never feels good enough. Maybe you're the overthinker who keeps looping in the same old spirals of thoughts and emotions, right? Maybe you carry that old identity of anxiety that keeps tensing and bracing for the shoe to drop. So letting go of the old self is not a one and done. It is a moment by moment practice as soon as you see and feel and know that you're hijacked, unhooking from your old self, those loops, anchoring into the new you, not just mentally, but somatically. So ask yourself, how does the new me stand? How does she breathe? What is she able to receive without chasing? So every time you fall back into the old you, that's not failure. That's an invitation. That's an invitation to use your old self and all of that reactivity as an opportunity to practice regulating your nervous system, softening, going at life with an open palm instead of a closed fist, and reminding yourself that you're safe now in the unknown. And it's really important to hold compassion for that old self. She was just doing her best with what she knew, but now you know more. So if you're ready to start living from that future self with more clarity, more calm, more trust, I would love to support you in this work. If you want to do this deeply for yourself, the Mastering Your Mind program is the place to begin. If you're feeling called to bring this kind of work into the world and guide others, the Mastering Your Mind certification program is your next step. And you can find everything you need to learn more and apply to these programs in the show notes, or you can go to masteringyourmind.com and schedule some time to connect with me. So, here's something for you to reflect on as we wrap up. When your nervous system tightens, can you see it as your past self trying to pull you back into old energy? What part of that old identity are you ready to release? Who is the you that you're already becoming? Who is the you who already is the next version of your life? Every time your old self shows up, use it as an inspiration and an invitation. Hold the compassion for the old you, and now you know better. And knowing better changes everything. If this resonated for you, please hit like and subscribe. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. And thank you for tuning in today. I'll see you in the next episode.